Alright, so welcome back, guys. Once your first time here, I'm Vision here, Bonner, for you guys in a video. Today we're talking about some recent news that dropped regarding the upcoming Power Rangers TV show on Disney Plus. Now, Power Rangers Summon Your Instant, don't forget to hit subscribe button down below, hit that bell icon, some more Power Rangers content from me, moving forward. Now let's begin. So, it's been reported, now this is coming from one of the leakers online, and it's come from Jin Saku. So, with leakers, I always say take it with a grain of salt, we don't know what's truly going on behind the scenes. He has been right in the past. He has gotten things wrong. It's always a 50-50, so I always say take it with a grain of salt. I know there are people frustrated and angry and saying that Power Rangers is over. This is all false. They're all lying. But, I think you got to take it 50-50. This could be fake news. This could be just leaker stuff. Or this could be true. But, time will tell. So, this is what we got so far. It's being reported that the new upcoming Power Rangers TV show is going to take place in this new kind of small town scenario. The town is kind of rocked by some new anomalies. And, this misfit kind of ragtag team of people become rangers. I don't know if they're teenagers or not, because some seasons do have them be teenagers in the past, some aren't. So a group of misfits stumble upon this ancient or kind of old ruins, and they become Power Rangers. Now in this series as well, it's also being reported that this takes place years after like Power Rangers. There haven't been Power Rangers around in a long time. People don't remember who Power Rangers are. So that definitely is an interesting concept. Now, it's also said that this is a soft reboot of the ongoing story arcs that we've had that were going on for 30 years in the original series. So, from what that means and from what I gather here is that, they're taking some elements from the original series and putting it in this series. Now, the one thing I do worry about is how they go about implementing that, because, how do you connect, if, like, say they want to do, like, a crossover or bring in old Rangers and do a cameo, like, if you're doing a soft reboot, how do you kind of go about doing that? I think if they were to do this, I think this new soft reboot series should take place in another universe. I mean, we got the Prime universe, you got the Dino Charge universe, we got the RPM universe. What's wrong with making this its own separate universe? Now, we don't know if this is going to be MMPR. And also related news that we got a while back, it's being reported that this Disney Plus project is not involved in toei. So I'm assuming this is all US original footage, Zords, suits. So that's always interesting to see what goes on there. I'm excited to see, without the connection to toei, what they actually have planned there in regards to original stuff. We've all wanted original stuff. We've seen original stuff with not the Phantom Ranger, with the Spirit Rangers and the new Cosmic Fear Rangers. You had Ryan in Lightspeed Rescue. We've seen this in the past where they do original stuff. So, it could turn out good, it could turn out bad. But, again, similar to with the leaker news, it could be 50-50. So, we just got to wait and see how this whole thing plays out. So, we got this news. Now, like I said, it's loosely based on the original continuity. So, what they do there is a little questionable, and it does leave me a little bit wary. But I do think that this has potential. Now, they also say that the team consists of a ragtag team of misfits. Now, I do like the misfit aspect. I think a lot of times, especially with MMPR, they were all perfect. They had no flaws. They had no issues. I think having flawed characters is a benefit to a show. You want to have flawed characters to learn and grow throughout a series. So I think having misfit characters is a good thing. Now, I know there are a lot of haters for the 2017 movie regarding like how the Rangers were misfits there and how it didn't really work well. Now, I think in a TV series it works better because you have more time to flesh out these characters. You have more time for them to go through a character/story arc throughout the season. And, in a movie, you only have, 2.5 hours to resume all that, or an hour and a half, depending on how long your movie is. I think it was 2.5 hours. But, you only have 2.5 hours to resolve all those issues. Technically, an hour to half an hour because, you got a bunch of other stuff. So, having Misfit Rangers in regards to a TV show, in my opinion, works out because, you have time to develop these characters, time to look at their flaws, see how they had these flaws, and have them, resolve them at the end of the season or at a certain part in the season. So, I think Misfit Rangers in a TV show works out better than Misfit Rangers in, throughout a movie. Now, they also mentioned that this is in regards to, there's going to be some kind of mystery. And like I said, people don't remember the Rangers. Rangers haven't been around in years. So this is actually an interesting aspect. I kind of do like this because maybe, now we don't know the overall plot, so I'm just kind of speculating here, but maybe aliens or villains haven't come back, risen from the earth, or aliens haven't returned. Maybe they've lived in a time of peace and they haven't needed rangers. So say maybe a decade has gone by, so a new generation of kids or whoever wouldn't totally remember Power Rangers. Maybe 20 years, depending on how long you want to go, if and how long they want to go, say 10, 20 years, you know, people are going to forget about Power Rangers if there hasn't been any big attacks, if they've gone into retirement. Maybe, they're just not needed because the Earth is safe for now. And then these anomalies start happening and they are suddenly needed. I think that's a good aspect. I like this idea that, depend on how to go about this, but maybe there's a time of peace. There's no alien attacks, and if there is aliens, you got a situation similar to SPD where humans and aliens have kind of found a way to coexist and whatnot. So I think that's a good thing. Now, another thing I think would be interesting, depending on what they do and how they go about it, is maybe what if the villain has, I don't know, magic kind of powers or something like that, where they kind of make the, population or humans or aliens, whoever's, the characters, make them forget that Power Rangers were a thing. Maybe there have been these attacks, but they, the monster or villain is kind of, erase that from their mind. Or maybe even maybe people forgot Rangers because maybe things have turned into a Men in Black situation where the Rangers fight the villain, everything goes back to normal, and they kind of wipe their memory of the alien or monster attack. Say something like that. So that'd be an interesting aspect. Again, we don't know what they're gonna do. But I think with what they have planned, it sounds good. Having this, they've also said this will span over, or at least plan to have to span over multiple seasons, which I think, with that being said, that's actually a good thing because they kind of have things planned out. They know, what story plots they want to hit here, where they want to have things go here, how does they want maybe season one to end, they see plot points that they want to implement and kind of have an idea of where they want to go. So, I always like that when they have a plan, they're not just going in with one season in mind. So, I think that's pretty ambitious, having the idea of it being multiple seasons spanning, because, sometimes you have these shows where it's just one season, one and done. But it looks like, if this leak is true, they are committed to this, or at least Disney is committed to this. So that does give me hope that they actually are taking this serious. We have heard that the people behind Percy Jackson are writing this. They have done a lot more mature stuff compared to what PR has been in the past. I'm not a fan of Percy Jackson. I haven't watched the show, so I don't know. But from what I've heard, it is a little bit more of a mature, kind of PG-13, 14 kind of age, which I think is where Power Rangers should go right now. It's also said that this show's going to have some mystery aspects. I always love mystery, especially given the fact that maybe people don't know or remember Power Rangers. I think that could definitely be a good mystery there as well. Depending on what the villain or who the villain is, that could play into the mystery as well. There's a lot of possibilities here, where they could go and where they could take PR. Again, we don't have a lot of thoughts or news we this is just again my speculation and kind of the leaks that we've got. Again, I know people don't really like Jinsaku. Again, there are always leakers. Things always change. From what we know, this was a pitch that they gave. We don't know how long ago this pitch was made. And, stuff changes all the time in the industry. 1 month they have this plan, then the next month, they kind of scrap it and go for something else. Scripts take time, they go through changes. Different people, the directors and writers always come up with something different or have different ideas. So just, I always say take it with a grain of salt. This could be true. This might turn out to be false information. We'll just have to see how things play out. But I think these ideas and what have been reported are definitely something I think are promising in regards to PR. We haven't had PR in a year now. By the time we get this, I'm going to assume, depending if everything goes according to plan, I would assume this comes out 2027, sometime 2027, maybe late 2026 at the earliest, but I'm going to go more 2027. Again, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Some scripts could be written. Maybe they have some casting going on. Maybe, we don't know, but maybe at SDCC, Disney has a plan. Maybe they're working with Hasbro. Maybe they could announce a cast at SDCC this year. Again, we don't know. Maybe that news could come at Power Morphicon or Hasbro Pulse. Again, I feel like Hasbro doesn't care much, so it probably wouldn't be there. Or maybe D23. I feel like we could get some kind of announcements in that area. Again, this is just speculation. Everything has to be done. Contracts, have to be signed. Casting has to be done. Filming has to be done. Post-production. All this stuff has to go on. So again, I would speculate late 2026, 2027 at the earliest. Again, we don't know how things are playing out. Things could be set up. Maybe they're planning already to start filming at the end of the year, which means we could get it in 2026. Again, we don't know what things are going on. I know people are frustrated, say, oh, this is fake news. This isn't happening. They're lying to us. Again, maybe this is true, but come on, let's try to stay some positive. I feel like it doesn't help to just be all negative sometimes. You got to stay positive, look at what could be going on, what might not be going on. I think it doesn't do us very much good to just look at the negative and think this is all fake and that they're lying. I think it's good to, have some positive outlooks. I always try to stay optimistic. I know people have said in the comments before that, this isn't going to happen. Power Rangers is dead. I think I want to see the show succeed. And I think Disney has seen they have worked with on Power Rangers in the past. They've seen how successful it has been under their care. So I think maybe they're looking at it and saying, let's see what we can do with it again. I know people are not big fans of Disney. They'll be talking about how it's gone woke or they don't like this and blah, blah, blah. To me, it's just again, I've said this in numerous videos now. Power Rangers has been what the right calls woke since its beginning. So if you don't know that, you're not a true PR fan. If you don't know the fact that it's been woke since the beginning, I don't know where you've been or what you think has been going on with PR, because it's been woke since the beginning, if you want to call it that. I always hate that word. I try not to use it, but I know the right likes to use that word. So, I think that PR is heading in the right direction if all this news turns out to be true. So, I like to stay positive. This idea of Misfit Rangers, it sounds like they might find the ruins of an old command base. So I think this is definitely a positive look. I like the mystery aspect. Some new anomaly stuff I think could also add in some good sci-fi aspects there. And I think they're trying to grab a bunch of different demographics, because you're going for the misfit ragtag team of stuff, temporal anomalies and stuff like that. I think they're trying to make this appeal to different demographics. Again, this will always be aimed for guys, men. Yes, there are women who like Power Rangers in the fandom. I always want to address that, but I always feel like Power Rangers are more aimed for boys and the guys aspect of the spectrum in regards to fandoms. But again, these are just my thoughts, pains about everything. And all your thoughts, pains. Do you like this news? Do you not like it? Are you neutral? Do you trust this leaker? Do you not? Or are you neutral? I mean, all that good stuff in the comment section down below. So yeah, guys, those are my thoughts, pains regarding the news of the up and coming Power Rangers TV show on Disney Plus. And as always, if you like this video, don't get a big thumbs up and share. Don't forget to hit subscribe button down below. Hit that bell icon. There's more Power Rangers content from me moving forward. And go for me on Instagram, Twitter, which are linked in the back section of my YouTube channel. As always, I'm Vision here on Bar Entertainment, and I'll see you next time.